Good morning again, Rayton. We are still in the continuation of our topic. And of course, we are now in the relationship, okay, under predation. As a recap, what we did last meeting, what are the defenses that the prey usually do to get away with the predators? What are those? Since the predators have stingers, fangs, claws, teeth, poison, so the um what are the defenses that the prey usually do? Camouflage? Yes, one good example is the camouflage. What else? Camouflage is just like if they were actually put in a certain area, they tend to copy the color, copy the texture to look like a part of it. Like for example, if you notice that some of the lizards actually um, have a camouflage effect to the branches of tree, for example. Okay, those are camouflage. Okay, or some of the butterflies look like the area where they are actually located in. So those are camouflage. What else? Aside from camouflage, thank you, Holly. What else? Any idea? We touched actually one defense. Okay, aside from camouflage, the last meeting. What else? Margie, do you have any idea? MD? Okay. One example of the defense that the prey usually do is the mimicry. Okay, let's move now to the mimicry. Okay. They tend to look like a branch of tree or a leaf in order to what? Escape from these predators. Camouflage was common defense mechanism of predation. Yes. Other defenses of animals have their mechanical defenses. Okay. This form of defense can be seen in the porcupine sharp quills. Have you seen a porcupine fish? The one with a lot of stings? Okay. So those are their defense. That is actually called mechanical defense. Okay. Hard shells and clams and oysters, yes. If you're going to look at it and to feel it, it's really hard. And of course, it is not shiny. Okay. And it has a lot of what? Texture. Okay. And thorns at the rose. Some animals have also chemical defense, which include poison of the dart frog, the one that I am discussing last meeting. And of course, this poison gland will be activated if you're going to touch the dart frog. Okay. Pufferfish, yes, the defense of the pufferfish is they will just puff if somebody or if the predator is there. So to look like big. Actually, pufferfish is just like, it is just small. But if it is activated, or if the predator activated it, it will just pop itself to look big. Okay. Let's move now to mimicry. Mimicry is also the mode of protection of the prey. Okay. In this form of adaptation, one species copies or mimics the appearance of another. Okay. Again, like for example, they mimic the leaves, okay, to get away with the predators. Under mimicry, we have adaptation mimicry. This is a form of adaptation in which the palatable, harmless prey species mimics the appearance of another prey species that is unpalatable and nauseous, okay, to predators. Okay, so it mimics another species. Okay, this form of defense is common in insects. Okay, the second one is the Mullerian mimicry. This is a form of mimicry in which two or more unrelatable or unrelated species exhibit same form of defense or warning signal that they use in order to avoid common predators. Okay, Batasian and Mullerian. Those are the two mimicries. Okay, predators also use mimicry as a way to deceive or lure a prey. Okay, snapping turtles, for example, have a tongue that resembles a wiggling worm. It looks like a worm. Okay, attracting small fish or any fish that tries to eat the bait. Okay, ends up being quickly consumed. The turtle's strong and fast jaw is snapped shut. Okay, those are the natural way of defense and the natural way of the predators also to catch their prey. Again, what are the ecological importance of this? This is to balance the nature, to balance the the population among organisms. All of those has its ecological importance. Maintaining diversity through predation. Yes. Okay, predation is a good area. It is a good venue for maintaining diversity, because if there are a lot of species living there and it is not trimmed down, of course they will overlap the ecosystem. Okay, the niche, the ecological niche. Remember that a lot of species living in that ecological niche use that area or that environment for their food and for their what? For their protection. What else? For their as their home. So most probably, if they overlap with other organisms, tendency is what? It will become overpopulated, and the natural resources there will be consumed by them all throughout. Okay, that is why there is a need to maintain diversity through predation, and that is the ecological importance. Before, I'm thinking about why these tigers or these lions eat a lot of, or they tend to capture a lot of deer. What's the purpose? Why do they need to do so? And this is the answer. This is to maintain the ecological balance and the diversity among species living in that particular niche. Okay, most of us think that when organisms eat another organisms, it will lead to the eventual reduction of the preyed species. Okay, in retrospect, field studies have shown that predation actually help maintain the diversity in a community. Correct. Okay. In the Alaskan marine ecosystem, sea otters are known as keystone species. Okay. Let's take a look at what is a keystone species. Keystone species are those that exert strong influence or control in their community structure, mainly because of their ecological role. Okay, sea otters were once relatively abundant but were reduced to near extinction. This was because of the blooming fur trade in the 19th century. Okay, protection for these creatures was eventually provided in the late 20th century to help the species recover high densities. Like for example, our Philippine eagle, okay, it is near to extinct. Okay, we actually preserve that particular species. Okay, it is one of the keystone species. It exerts strong influence or control the community because it is a major predator. Okay, in an ecosystem. Tigers, lions, they are the keystone species. And because of their ecological importance, they need to be protected. They need to preserve. Not in the as a specimen, preserve as a specimen, no, but preserve as an organism living, an alive organism. Okay. In the laboratory, we tend to preserve organisms. We, including me, preter, we usually preserve organisms in order for the other students to see if in case it is extinct already. Okay, but according to biologists and zoologists, the best way to preserve an organism is to keep them alive. That's the best way to preserve an organism. Not in a jar like this. No, you need not to put it in a jar. You need not to um, put it in a cage. No, that is not preserving. Okay, you are just creating a narrow environment for that particular species, just like you. Huh? If you're going to keep yourself in the four corners of your room, tendency is what will you feel if you're going to put yourself in the four corners of the room all the time? Because we are a higher form of animal. Okay, we are the highest, rather the highest form of animal. So meaning to say, we understand more than them. But what if an animal, what if you put an animal in a cage for a long period of time? Okay, so that is the case. We need to put them in their natural habitat. That's the best way to preserve a species. Okay, sea otters normally fed on sea urchins. Sea urchins, on the other hand, mainly fed on kelp. Knowing this relationship, it was observed that the areas with low population of sea otters resulted to the abundance of sea urchins and absence of kelp. On the other hand, areas with a great number of sea otters resulted to the minimal number of sea urchins and well-developed kelp forest. See, if you're going to analyze this is just a glimpse or an area or a side of the food chain. Okay, the sea otters eat the or sea urchins, and the sea urchins eat the kelp. Okay, now tendency is they observe that if there is less otters, okay, there is more sea urchins and less kelp because the sea urchins actually what consume the kelp in the process. Okay, but if you're going to put sea otters there, it will control, again, it will control the population of sea urchins and develop a kelp forest. So meaning to say, there is a balance if we will not remove an organism from its natural habitat. Can you see now the difference, everybody? Grade 10? Okay. It is called ecological importance. They have ecological importance in the process. Okay, they maintain. We cannot do it by ourselves. You cannot just go there, okay, all the time and you control the population. No, you cannot do it. Other organisms can because that is their ecological importance. Being a keystone species, the decline of the sea urchins, sea otters rather, causes the ripple effect on the ecosystem. The abundance of sea urchin eventually resulted in the destruction of the kelp forest because these are their food. Ecologists suspect that the reason for the decline of the sea otters to the predatory advances of killer whales. Okay, this phenomenon happened due to the decline of the killer whales, naturally prey seals, and sea lions. The decline of these prey species can be connected to the decline of population of fish species that seals and sea lions fed on. So it is now becomes a what? A domino effect. Okay, if you remove again, this is just an illustration. If you remove an organism from its what? Natural habitat. If you remove that organism, then tendency is there is an unbalanced ecosystem. It is not balanced already. Why? Because the other organisms overlap with each other. And the population of prey becomes lower and lower until such time that there is no prey at all. So it will just what? What will happen to the prey if, in case, what will happen to the prey? If they will consume by the predator in long time, in a longer period, what will happen to the population of the prey? Anybody? Extinction, correct. It will become extinct, of course, because it is limited. The organisms there are limited already. They are actually consumed by a lot of predators. The changes in the North Pacific ecosystem can be linked to the human practice of overfishing. Okay, take note. Overfishing. We usually what? Consume a lot of fish. Okay, and the nature cannot recover it that fast. Okay, one must think of how a single act can cause a multitude of ecological imbalance and disruption. We are doing a lot of what? A lot of disturbances, ecological disturbances, making ecological imbalance. Let's move now to the next relationship, which is herbivory. Okay, herbivores fed on plants and algae. Okay, in the terrestrial ecosystem, terrestrial meaning land, some of the common herbivores are sheep, goats, cattle. Most of the insect species we know, such as beetles and grasshoppers, are also herbivores. Insects usually have chemical sensors on their feet, and they have mouth parts that help them adapt to the chewing and shredding of tough vegetation or sucking sap or plant juices. Some herbivorous vertebrates, such as rabbits, horses, and like they have the specialized digestive systems and specialized teeth to help them process the vegetation. Okay. Since plants cannot simply run away from the herbivores, it cannot move actually. Actually, it can move, but it has a limited movement. Okay. The movement is called taxis. Okay. But it has a limited movement. Okay. Since plant cannot simply run away from herbivores, some have developed ways to counter them. Okay, some plants excrete chemical toxins like poison ivy and foxgloves plant. They actually secretes poison. Okay, poison towards their prey, or their predator rather, towards the one that actually consumed them. Okay, plants develop such adaptation to improve their survival and reproduction. Okay, what else? Your chili. The chili itself produces a toxin. Okay, that is why you actually what? If an organism consume the fruit, what will happen? It has a taste, a different taste that will touch their senses. Okay, that is to protect themselves from the one that consume them. Other plants have physical defenses like spines, your cactus, thorns, and prickles, as in the rose plant. Okay, in the stem of the rose plant, have you seen them? Oh, those are prickles. Okay, citrus trees and cacti or cactus. Okay, some herbivore plant interactions demonstrate the concept of coevolution. Okay, what is coevolution? In biology, it is the reciprocal, okay, change or evolutionary adaptation between two species. This happens when the change of one species acts as a new selective force on the other species, meaning to say that the plant actually evolved from this to that for the survival of the species. If they will not evolve, tendency is they will become extinct. Okay, they need to adapt to the certain changes of the environment. They need to adapt in order for them to survive. This affects the selection of individuals in the first species. Okay, coevolution can be seen in the relationship between bumblebees, okay, and flowers. Both species have co-evolved. Why? Thus becoming highly dependent on one another for survival. Okay, this phenomenon is said to be one of the driving factors for genetic diversity seen in different populations. Okay, they need to co-evolve. They need one another for survival. Let's move now to symbiosis. What's with symbiosis? Okay, symbiotic relationship, symbiosis. Okay, the interaction between two or more species that live together with direct or constant contact is known as symbiotic relationship. Okay, symbiotic relationship have three main types. We have three main types of symbiotic relationship. One is mutualism, the other is parasitism, the third one is commensalism. Okay, again, the definition of symbiosis, okay, or symbiotic relationship is they have direct contact, okay? They live together with direct or constant contact with each other, okay? If it is directly or they have direct contact with each other, it is under symbiotic relationship or symbiosis, okay? First is mutualism, second part is parasitism, and the third one is commensalism. Let's tackle first mutualism and let's tackle first mutualism. Mutualism and parasitism are two types that can be the key factor in structure of the community. Okay. Parasitism is a non-mutually symbiotic relationship. Wait, I will just take this call for a while. Please turn on your camera. Let's continue. Okay. Parasitism is a non-mutually symbiotic relationship. Again, parasitism is a non-mutually symbiotic relationship. I thought, sure, symbiosis. I thought, sure, that it is under symbiosis. Okay? I thought it is under um, symbiotic relationship. Yes, but it is not or non-mutually. We say mutual, mutualistic, they benefited with each other. Both organisms benefited. This one, no. The other is harm. Okay? The host is harmed in the process. Okay? Let's take a look at parasitism. Parasitism is a non-mutually symbiotic relationship wherein one species, a parasite, lives and feeds on another species or host as like a human. Okay? Let's take a look at this one. Parasites obtain all their nourishment from the host. See? So the other organism is being harmed in the process. Some examples of parasitism can be seen in the ticks that sucks blood from animals. Okay? Like tapeworm that lives inside your intestine of a larger animal and absorbs nutrients, and aphids that tap into the sap of the plant or plants. Okay? One best example of parasitism is the worms living in your large intestine. That's a good example. Okay? Or living in your small intestine. Tapeworms, hookworms, ascaris worms. Those are parasites. They actually live in your colons in order for them to survive. Okay? They absorb your nutrients instead of what? Going to your body. Okay, so the other animal or the other organism becomes harmed in the process. And the other is benefited. That is parasitism. It is common in the ecological niche. Natural selection actually favors parasites that are best able to find and feed on host defenses. An example of which is the immune system of vertebrates. Okay. Are you familiar with the theory of natural selection by Charles Darwin? Grade 10. Are you familiar with the theory of natural selection by Charles Darwin? Everybody, are you still with me? Grade 10. Can you hear me? Everyone? Can you hear me? I'm familiar with Charles Darwin. Okay. So what's with Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection? Okay, Charles Darwin is thinking about this evolutionary effect on species. Okay. He actually demonstrated the theory of natural selection that the strong species will continue its race and the weak species will just be eliminated in the process. And in the process of this natural selection, they develop what? They develop the defenses. They develop also some adaptation in order to survive in that particular niche. Okay. One example of which is the immune system of vertebrates, our immune system. Okay. In order to adapt, vertebrates have developed a multi-pronged defense against certain internal parasites. Or in our case, okay, we can actually see the natural selection in our case. A lot of people died because of COVID-19. Correct? Correct?
Yeah.
Now, if we cannot adapt to that certain changes, we will not have our vaccination and we cannot adapt to those virus tendencies, we will become eliminated in the process. And the stronger or just the persons or the organisms with higher um, immune system will survive and continue its race. That is actually the theory of natural selection. It is naturally occurring. Okay. That is the case wherein our body adapt to the certain changes of the environment. This is also the reason why there are a lot of animals, not just human, died because of changes of the environment or the environmental changes. Even this global warming, okay, it tends to change an organism all the way down. Why? It needs to adapt. If it cannot adapt, tendencies, it will become eliminated in the process. Did you understand? Grade 10? Okay. Through natural selection, both species develop continued adaptations that works on both species. Such has left a relatively stable relationship in which the host organism is not killed. Okay? In the process, because of this parasite, tendency is the organism develop adaptation against it. I have not heard that, sir. What do you mean? The theory of natural selection? MD? This is the reason why, you know what? Science is not just, for me, it is not just an ordinary subject because it is naturally occurring. Okay? All you have to do is to observe on your environment. Okay? And again, science is not a static subject. It is dynamic, so meaning it is still changing until now. Okay? Whatever science that we have on the past may not be applicable in the present. And whatever science we have in the present may not be applicable in the future because science is changing all throughout. Okay? Pathogens are disease-causing bacteria, viruses, okay, fungi or fungus, or protists that are thought as a microscopic parasites. Pathogens are one of the broadest and oldest microorganisms that have caused a wide spectrum of human disease. Yes, host-pathogen relationship were also seen in animals. In contrast to parasitism, another form of symbiotic relationship is commensalism. Okay, so there is a resemblance. Okay, there is a common difference with commensalism and parasitism. Let's take a look at commensalism. This relationship benefits one species without signifying harm or affecting the other species. Okay, there are only few cases of absolute commensalism that have been documented because of highly unlikely that one partner will be completely unaffected. Some examples of commensalisms are barnacles and whales. Are you familiar with the barnacles? Barnacles are fish that attach to the whales. Okay? They tend to attach to the whale not because they will consume the whale. No. But they just attach to it in order to transfer to different areas. Okay? Algae that grows on shells of sea turtles. Okay? Have you seen algae growing on sea turtles at their back? Okay? They tend to attach to the sea turtles not because they will consume the turtle, but because they are actually benefited in it that they can actually perform photosynthesis. Okay? And the sea turtles will not actually harm. And the titan triggerfish rather, that moves in large rock that create feeding opportunities for smaller fish. What else? Another good commensalism is your clownfish and the sea anemone. Are you familiar with the clownfish and the sea anemone? Okay, clownfish, your Finding Nemo. Okay, your clownfish actually stays with the sea anemone, not because the clownfish will actually consume the sea anemone, but rather the clownfish benefited to it for protection, and the sea anemone also benefited for it. the other organism is not actually harmed in the process. Okay, that's commensalism. The other is benefited while the other is not harmed. Okay, again, commensalism, this relationship benefits one species without signifying harm, or it will not harm the another organism in the process. Mutualism is a third type of symbiosis or symbiotic relationship. This type of interaction and relationship benefits both partners. They are actually benefiting with each other. They have benefits with each other. Okay? This form of interaction plays a key role in ecology. Yes. The previous example of this is the mutualistic relationship between legumes and nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Okay? Legumes needs the nitrogen-fixing bacteria in order to fix, okay, the nitrogen in the atmosphere, in order for it to be converted into nitrates and nitrites, okay, or ammonia. They cannot actually use it unless it is fixed. And the nitrogen-fixing bacteria needs nitrogen in order for them to survive. So it has a mutualistic relationship. What are the other mutualistic relationship that we have? Grade 10. What are the other mutualistic relationship that we have? Any other examples? What are the other examples we have? Sharks and remoras. Yes, it could be. What else? What else? That they benefited with each other. What else? The flower and the bees. Have you seen their relationship? Okay. The flower and the bees. What else? Rhinos and tiny birds. Yes. What else?